Okay, welcome to another episode of the Startup Sac podcast, interviews with Sacramento startup founders and innovators. Today I'm with Arya Rashid from Tenkiv, a clean tech startup here in Sacramento with a mission to democratize sustainable water and energy access. Welcome, Arya, and thanks for taking the time for this interview.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start out by having you introduce yourself. What's your background, and what is Tenkiv all about, and how is Tenkiv democratizing sustainable water and energy access?
Sure. So, as you said, my name's Arya. The majority of my background is in marketing. Consider myself kind of a generalist in the marketing area. I mean, we do a lot of film work as well as web work, as well as content creation and just a lot of the PR work for Tenkiv. Tenkiv's goal, as you said, or our mission statement as such, is to democratize sustainable water and energy access. Mostly what we mean by that is we're kind of focused on building sort of vertical integration for renewables, making a system that can produce, clean water, electricity, heating, air conditioning, all with renewable energies, and doing it more cost effectively than fossil fuels at any scale. So that includes, whether that's for individuals just in a home, or whether it's for large infrastructure projects. We think it's really important to make sure that stuff remains cost competitive with fossil fuels so that it can be accessible.
So what are the origins of Tenkiv? How long has it been? When did it start? And
Sure.
I assume it started here locally in Sacramento?
Yep. Homegrown. Almost the entire team actually are, almost all of us are Sacramento natives. One of the co-founders, Zach Uhas, and the main engineer who came up with some of our technologies, or the vast majority of our technologies, born and raised here in Sacramento. And it kind of started off actually with a SMUD competition that he entered pretty early on. This is maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. And he ended up winning that competition, and he was given some grant from SMUD, and that helped him kind of continue to develop the technology. Long story short, that technology moved through different prototype versions. Me and people like Joe came along and started working with the company. We officially incorporated in 2013, I believe, and now we're really gaining a lot of momentum.
And the mission has always been kind of the noble, global, game-changing mission that you've got today from the get-go?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely refined over time. But at its core, I think the mission has always been to essentially make renewables cost competitive with fossil fuels so that it can be easily distributed throughout society.
All right, so you've currently got a Kickstarter campaign going to raise money for the Tenkiv Nexus that addresses clean water crisis. First of all, maybe talk about the Nexus a little bit, and then talk about how that Kickstarter campaign is going.
Sure. So the Tenkiv Nexus is the name we give to the system that we've designed. What's unique about that system, like I said before, in reference to vertical integration for renewables, what we mean by that is that this one system that we've designed can handle energy acquisition, energy storage, energy distribution, and energy conversion. So the idea is that we don't have to make significant changes to this system to go from, like I said before, if we need to produce electricity, we can do that. If we need to produce heating for a home, we can do that. Or if we need to, specific to this Kickstarter and the pilot project, which I'll discuss in a moment, if we need to sanitize or even desalinate water, we can do it with minimal changes to the system, and we can scale it out to be as large as we need. And this Kickstarter is specifically in reference to a kind of humanitarian project that we're working on right now. We've partnered with an NGO in the Middle East that works very closely with UNICEF, has been doing water projects in the region for a very long time. And we're going to be rolling out a pilot program where we have a handful of our systems of various sizes rolled out and implemented, starting in Afghanistan, to essentially provide clean water to developing communities. Specifically, we're targeting areas with the highest child mortality rates first. We saw this as a really major need. Waterborne diseases and lack of access to clean water is one of the major causes of high mortality rates, and especially child mortality rates globally. Our system can handle this stuff in a way that nothing else we've seen on the market has been able to do in terms of cost efficiency and reliability. So we took that opportunity.
So talk a little bit about how much water does this sanitize? How many people can it serve? Those
Sure.
sort of things.
So the water requirements, of course, vary when you go, from region to region and nation to nation. But suffice to say, in a place like Afghanistan, even in some of the more developed areas, you're looking at around maybe 5 liters a day requirement per person. Or a single panel system, for instance, that we design can produce anywhere from 600 to even up to 2,000 liters a day, which in a place like Afghanistan and a lot of villages that really have no access, that normally getting just water from a well that is contaminated with either viral or biological contaminants, that's going to be a huge. When I say produce, I mean it'll sanitize that much in a day. And the reason that there's that range is because it just depends on what kind of access to the sun we're getting. Luckily, in a place like Afghanistan, and honestly most of the world, our system is going to be getting plenty of sun, so it'll probably be on the higher end. But minimum, we're going to be cranking out 600. So we'll easily be able to provide. Even a single panel system will be able to provide for maybe even a small village. So,
in how many panels are you looking to implement?
So we're going to be doing the way the NGOs, the partnership with the NGO is working is basically, I think it's somewhere around 27, 28 systems, each of different size. So we're going to have a handful of kind of single panel systems, all the way up to 50 panel systems for much larger applications. And the idea is that we're going to roll this out. We're going to run it for a while, make sure everything is working smoothly, and this way they'll be able to showcase it to other NGOs, showcase it to UNICEF. If you've looked at any of our other material, we have talked with the WHO also for potentials in Somalia and basically all over Asia and Africa. So the NGO is going to continue to market this to other NGOs essentially. So it's kind of almost like when you go to like a model home showcase. Think of it kind of like that. This pilot program is going to be to kind of showcase the scale at which our technology can work, as well as helping people.
And so the Kickstarter campaign is to basically fund the production of the Nexus system?
So the way our partnership is, we are not obviously profiting off of this project since it is a humanitarian project. What we've worked out with our NGO partner is that they will be covering a lot of basically all of the implementation costs overseas. We'll be going over there to do some of the training and stuff like that, and some of the base costs of the systems. But of course, being a startup, we don't necessarily have the means of production to produce this, and we need to do this within a year. So the Kickstarter is specifically, those funds are going to go directly towards expanding and tooling properly so that we can produce this large number of systems in a short period of time.
So why did you choose a Kickstarter campaign versus more traditional routes of funding?
So first, we are pursuing more traditional routes of funding and looking for venture capital and everything like that. But one of the reasons we wanted to do a crowdfunding campaign is because this is specifically a humanitarian project, and we thought there would be a lot of interest from the general public in helping be part of this and helping support what we really think is going to be a revolutionary technology for developing communities and dealing with the water crisis.
Okay, so I believe the Kickstarter campaign goes through February 4th. Is that right? And
Yeah,
if
that's
they
correct.
want to, if people listening want to check that out, they can go to your website, tenkiv.com. That's tenkiv.com, and you have links there to, I think, pretty prominently, if I remember, to your Kickstarter campaign, right?
Yeah, right on the front page at tenkiv.com, we will have a link to our Kickstarter. I think we even have the Kickstarter video on the front page, and then any other information you'd want to get. We have, technical breakdowns. We have an info packet. You can go to our about page and see more about what we're doing. Really, anything you want to find. You can find us probably pretty easily on Kickstarter too. They were nice enough to label us as one of the projects they love. They
Cool.
put us on the top page of technology for a couple days. So
Awesome.
Yeah, any help.
So I'm sure you guys are really focused on that right now, the Kickstarter campaign. What's on tap for Tenkiv the remainder of the year after the Kickstarter campaign's over?
Sure. So after the Kickstarter campaign's over, like I said, we're going to be continuing to pursue more capital so that we can expand operations, and of course there's other modules for the system that we want to be able to build, and we're kind of taking this one step at a time. But probably, probably the largest portion of our time will be taken up preparing these systems to be shipped overseas, and doing all the stress testing we're going to need to do, preparing our training programs for when we go over there. We'll have to train a lot of their staff. So that's going to be
So really manufacturing and putting everything together, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I would hope, and maybe you've thought of this, you're a marketing guy, so you'll be capturing and documenting all this stuff as you're putting it together and going over there and implementing it, and so we can kind of watch how it unfolds.
Yes. Bear with me. It's just me and one other guy that does most of that stuff, but absolutely, we try our best to essentially carry a camera, even if it's just our phone, everywhere we go. We want to document as much of it as possible. Including our trip overseas and going through the training and seeing the first of the systems actually get put into place and start producing clean water for people.
Well, that'll be fun to watch. So you're a cleantech company. There's a lot of uncertainty about the impact with the new federal administration on clean energy initiatives. What's your take on that? Are you doing anything differently at Tenkiv to prepare for these shifts in clean energy policy nationally? How's that affecting you?
Yeah, it's definitely a source of worry for us, as I'm sure it is for many companies, new or old, that are focused on renewable technologies. Of course, if anything, I would say it's just fueling the fire more for us to work harder and work faster. Ultimately, we are in this because we believe that climate change is a major task that we need to tackle, and every single one of us is here to tackle that task. And this administration posing a threat to our progress on dealing with that issue is really just giving us more and more motivation. Of course, we have to worry about things like funding sources changing and less federal money going into this kind of stuff, but we feel pretty proud to live in California, where I think, as Jerry Brown just recently laid out, we're going to take this issue, I hope, very, very seriously.
Yeah, that's for sure. The governor is really taking a stance on renewables and clean energy here.
Yeah.
So talking a little bit about the region here, Sacramento, California, I chatted with Mike Hart a week or so ago. He's the CEO of Sierra Energy. He believes that the Sacramento region is the green tech hub of the nation. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think we're well on our way to becoming the green tech hub, if we're not already. I've especially noticed over the years kind of an influx of renewable companies and renewable startups, and just the use of renewables increasing in the area, especially as places like Silicon Valley got so expensive that I think a lot of these startups that are working on these kind of technologies have moved here to Sacramento, and I think the most important thing is that the city keeps providing an incentive so that we can build on that and continue to see these companies and technologies come out of here.
Cool. So what do you think Sacramento has that's unique to offer clean tech startups here that might differentiate it from, you mentioned Silicon Valley, it's cheaper here. Anything else?
Well, of course, there's that. Just the cost of operating here is going to be obviously a little bit easier. From what I've seen, I think we're definitely making a push. We're here at Impact Ventures and speaking with Sac Startup, and we have all these organizations, Clean Start, that are definitely very important to this community, have helped us a lot, and are helping a lot of other clean tech companies like this. So I think we need to continue supporting those companies and encouraging them to come here. Also, we've got a lot of sun, which is, if you're a solar company, it's a good place to be testing a lot of your products. And I think we have a very progressive culture in general. And that's definitely going to lend itself towards attracting this kind of stuff to Sacramento.
So any advice for people who may want to get into the clean tech industry here, who may not be in it yet, some aspiring engineers, some student at Sac State that has an idea, what's your advice on that?
I think first and foremost, I think survey the landscape, see what kind of companies are out there. I think that it's probably true that a lot of even Sacramento natives don't realize that there's actually a lot of innovative companies here, be it startups or companies that have been around for a long time, that are working on this stuff. And if you have an innovative idea that nobody else is working on, get connected with local accelerators and incubators and places like Urban Hive and Hacker Lab. Find like-minded individuals and start developing your product, whatever that may be. It's always a tough road, but you just gotta persevere, especially because we need more people working on this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you just alluded a little bit to some of the community here in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. What can the community do here in Sacramento to help support Tenkiv and your mission?
Sure. So first, the community is already doing a lot to help spread kind of awareness and help put us on the map in terms of getting more recognition. I think working more and more with a lot of venture capital and investment groups in the Bay Area and attracting them. I think a lot of them probably don't realize that there's a lot going on in Sacramento as well. So attracting them here to our city so that they're more accessible to companies like us and other companies that are working on renewable technologies would be a great help. Helping us navigate. One of the other advantages that I missed is that being in Sacramento, you're in the capital. So if you're trying to get anything like government contracts and grants and try and work your way through some of those bureaucracies, this is definitely the place to be. And I think helping companies like us sort of build some of those relationships with government and with state officials is going to be really, really helpful.
Cool. So we talked a little bit about what advice you might have for people wanting to get into clean tech. Any general words of advice or inspiration for just general entrepreneurs out there who have an idea and want to get into entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship or clean tech specifically?
Let's just say general entrepreneurship.
General entrepreneurship. I guess it's probably kind of cliche to say, but I really think it's an important thing to remember. Anytime you're getting into entrepreneurship, I think a lot of people idolize, people like Elon Musk and stuff like that. When we look at these people and we say, wow, they're so good. It's such a one-off, but I think all we see normally is just the final successes that they have. What we don't realize is that they went through 1,000 either failures or difficulties. I don't call them failures, just kind of its learning process before they got to that one big success. So basically, just don't be discouraged by the hard stuff. You just got to power through.
Awesome, good advice. So, last question: anything else you'd like to share? Any last thoughts?
No, other than please, if you can, check out our website tenkiv.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We're pretty active on social media, especially Twitter. I'm constantly tweeting away. So anything you can do is a huge help. If you can share our Kickstarter, between now and the 4th. That's hugely helpful, and keep promoting renewable energies and helping us deal with climate change.
All right. We'll try to get the word out and help you guys out. Thanks, Arya, for your time, and best of luck with Tenkiv.